Hey friends, welcome back. I hope you're having a blessed day today. I'm Mark. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a certified health coach, and this is Teresa. She's a board certified family nurse practitioner, and we are with Total Health and Wellness, and we'd like to talk about bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, metabolic health, and just about everything in between. So the topic tonight is going to be, where does all the sugar come from? Okay, but before we get to that, I want to talk a little bit about a couple of housekeeping items that we wanted to cover. First of all, just a reminder for those of you on Facebook, until we figure out something different, we're actually uploading our videos to YouTube and sharing those to Facebook. So I know that's kind of, for some people, they don't like doing that. The Facebook Lives were way easier, but Facebook changed the rules, and they're deleting all of our old stuff that's in cloud storage. And now live videos are only lasting for 30 days. Yeah. So I wanted to cover that. Also wanted to let you know that I wanted to apologize to those of you who are on YouTube. For some reason, YouTube has this weird thing. So I usually use my phone. I use the mobile YouTube app when I'm managing our YouTube channel. And on there, I see comments from people, and I always answer them almost immediately whenever I can. However, when I log into the YouTube studio on my computer, then I see that there's all kinds of comments that I never saw before, and some of them are weeks old. So anyway, today was one of those days. I got onto our website and I logged in. There must have been like 20 comments that I had not responded to, and some of them were weeks old. And so for those of you who that applies to, I apologize. I'll do better about doing it. I don't know why YouTube is doing this to us, but it's just part of their whole deal. And just a reminder also, guys, throughout this, anytime that we drop a video, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, if you're watching, if you're looking at it, you can actually go to the description section, and we'll put all the applicable links to what we're talking about in the description section on YouTube. And for Facebook, we put them in the comments. So make sure you check those out. It's got links to our website, links to a lot of the different things we talk about, books, podcasts, products, things like that. And anytime we have a financial disclosure to make, like where we have a financial affiliation with somebody, we'll let you know. We're not just trying to make money on giving you these links, so don't worry about clicking on them. All right, so this talk tonight actually kind of came about because with Teresa especially, but with our patients and clients, we always get this, we have this issue. And the issue is, I don't eat sugar. Mm-hmm. And so Teresa comes home and she talks about this all the time. So I'm not going to steal your thunder. I'm just going to let you go ahead and pick up there where I left off. And let's talk a little bit about those people who aren't eating sugar.
Yeah. So sometimes I ask, nutrition and lifestyle, and, or if people come back as a diabetic, they're kind of shocked because they don't eat sugar. Mm-hmm. So I made a list of foods that are pretend health foods. Okay. So, banana, granola bar, pasta, cereal, oatmeal, orange juice, bread. And so a lot of people think wheat bread is better than white bread, but wheat or white slices of bread is only 28 grams of carbs for 2 slices, as opposed to wheat bread, it's 50. Now, wow. I looked up hamburger buns, white versus wheat, and wheat is better, but only by 2 grams. Brown rice is way more carby than white rice. Did you know that?
I had no idea. No. Same thing about wheat bread. That was a surprise to me. I've known that for a little while, but that was a surprise.
So white rice, 1 cup is 45 carbs. Brown rice is 53. And everyone chooses brown and wheat pasta and wheat bread. So anyway, sweet potato is not that much better than white potato. So if you're going to indulge and you're missing your white potato and you're eating sweet because you think it's better, don't. Just go for the white. So sweet potato medium is 24 grams. White potato is 26 grams. So if your most favorite thing is baked potato, you're not saving a lot by eating a sweet potato, by kind of pushing that down. Mm-hmm. Pretzels, fruit juices, I said that, bread. So these are things with carbohydrates, and carbohydrates turn to sugar. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing. While you're chewing food in your mouth, in your saliva, there's enzymes to break down fat, protein, and carbs. So that's amylase. Amylase comes into play while you're still chewing and breaks down the carbohydrate to sugar as you're swallowing. So people get confused when I used to ask people if they ate sugar, and the answer was always no. And I was confused looking at labs and looking at problems they were having. So finally I had to say, I don't mean Milky Way and Skittles. I mean, oatmeal, bread, cereal, fruit juices.
Yeah.
So did you want to add anything before I
No, keep going.
Make a meal plan? Okay.
Yeah,
so I made a meal plan. This is how we used to eat. Okay. So in the morning. And what I'm going to do is add gummy vitamins, because I do know somebody that I added up her gummy vitamins, and it was 25 grams of carbs in, like, it was a fish oil, magnesium, multivitamin, vitamin D, CoQ10, all the gummy vitamins before she even ate breakfast. Okay. So 25 grams of carbs for gummy vitamins. So in the mornings, I used to have Raisin Bran with banana and skim milk. So 1 cup of Raisin Bran, probably didn't have 1 cup. I probably had a little bit more than 1 cup. With banana and skim milk is 81 grams of carbs. Okay, so before you're even done with breakfast, so 81 plus 25 of the gummies is over 100. You've already are at 100 grams of carbs before breakfast is over. And then mid-morning, which I could hardly wait till my mid-morning snack, because you're hungry, because that's not filling and nutrient dense and fat and protein. I would have had yogurt and a granola bar, fat-free, of course. So a 3/4 cup of Dannon vanilla yogurt, and the fat-free s'mores, peanut butter, chocolate chip, and oatmeal raisin variety pack of granola bars is 42 grams of carbs at mid-morning snack.
Wow.
And then for lunch, I would have had a sandwich with Lay's fat-free potato chips. That's 67 grams of carbs, because I would have eaten wheat. So that's 50 grams right there, besides the potato chips. And then a mid-afternoon snack before I would go work out would have been an apple and pretzels. So 20 pretzels and 1 medium-sized apple is 44 grams of carbs. And then at dinner, we used to eat pasta all the time. And I do miss it because it was so easy.
Yeah, so easy.
You just put it in the pot, you boil it, you're eating 15 minutes later.
Yeah.
But pasta and garlic bread because 1 cup of pasta is 40 grams of carbs. I always ate 2. I would always eat 2 cups or 2 helpings. Yeah. So it's 108 grams of carbs for garlic bread and pasta.
I want to know who's in charge of the serving sizes on these, because these serving sizes are ridiculous. Like, I couldn't eat 1 bowl of cereal. It was always 3 or 4 bowls for me.
Yeah.
1 cup of pasta, forget about it. I mean, there's so many things that I would just eat 4 or 5 times the serving size of, and sometimes I'd eat a whole box of things.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
Like, a box wouldn't last but a couple days.
That brings to mind Girl Scout cookies. The Samoas, I would eat a whole box. Yeah. Like, we got the cookies delivered, and they were gone that night.
That's funny.
For sure.
But
Anyway.
True. Well, so if you add all of that up for that day, that's 332 grams of carbs. Wow. Now, many of you guys go to Dunkin' Donuts and Starbucks. So I looked up Dunkin' Donuts iced coffee. So on the way to work, maybe you have that. After you have your 81 grams of carbs of Raisin Bran, that's 41 grams of carbs. So if you add in just one kind of frappe or frappuccino or something, that takes you to 373 grams of carbs.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You can't out-exercise that, which, interestingly enough, when I was looking up all these nutrition facts today, a lot of times next to each one, it would say how many calories you had to burn, how much time you had to run, how many steps you had to walk to offset this. This is impossible because we're not talking about ribeye and Brussels sprouts. We're talking about insulin spiking foods. So your insulin is just constantly up here doing damage and blocking fat loss. So even if I used to go to the Y, because that's where we met and worked out, I would work out in the weight room for an hour. I would teach an hour aerobics class. It was step, it was kickboxing, it was high-low, didn't matter. So I'm spending 2 hours at the gym, and all I'm doing is utilizing the glucose from my last meal, which was my mid-afternoon snack of apple and pretzels. Mm-hmm. I didn't even get past that. So then you add in, some people have wine. And while wine isn't like super carby, you're still now pushing all the glucose and fat somewhere else because you have to burn the wine. Because remember, there's no amount of alcohol that your body doesn't think is poison. I'm not saying we don't ever drink. I'm just saying you have to know that it shrinks your brain and does other stuff. But that's amazing to me. But all of this was low fat and fat free.
Yeah. And if you notice, the kind of the common denominator of most of this stuff too is plant-based. So, we keep getting told, well, we need to eat more vegetables, more fruit. We need more plant-based stuff, less meat and things. And it's like, well, we're already probably 95, for some of you, 97, 98% plant-based.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of vegans out there too. And so it's like, well, how much more this plant-based food-like products do we need to eat? We've never in our entire history of our life, of human existence, eaten as much carbohydrate and sugar as we do now.
Yeah.
Almost everything is made of carbohydrates and sugar. And so people will make the argument, well, the insulin reaction, the insulin spike is normal to clear out the sugar that you've consumed, the glucose. And well, that's true, kind of. The problem is it's not true to do it 14 or 15 times a day. Like we don't need to be doing that. That's not healthy. That's not sustainable. So we have to be careful about that. Wanted to mention really quick too while I'm talking is that if you guys want a really quick and simple calculator for converting carbs to sugar, this is not by any means super accurate, but you can just basically take the number of carbohydrates and times it by 0.5. And that'll give you the grams of sugar. Now, there's a lot of variables in there, so it's not 100% accurate, but ballpark, you can just kind of use that conversion.
So if my carbs in a day is close to 400, then 200 of that is pure, like not pure, but is sugar.
I think that's fair to say. And I think we should go back to and talk a little bit about how eating this much sugar and then the insulin that goes along with that will actually make you feel. And then how that you get this ups and downs and this kind of yo-yo effect all day long where you're feeling okay, then you're feeling terrible, then you're feeling better, and then you're feeling really bad. And you're going through that all day long. It's this emotional roller coaster, essentially.
Yeah, as soon as your sugar, your insulin, and your insulin has moved the sugar and it starts to come down, you instantly crave food because you're starving. You get moody, you get, kind of irritable, mean, snappy.
Yeah, and we talk about going low carb too. It's also important to say, if you're a person who's a carb burner, you've been eating a ton of carbs, like 300 or 400 grams of carbs a day, and you start cutting out carbs and sugar, you got to be really careful and take it slow, because now for you, if you go from a fasting blood glucose of what's a typical one for you, 150 for somebody who's on the high end of fasting blood,
and then
like all of a sudden
150.
Okay, and then they drop down to say a 75 or an 80 or something like that, you're going to feel terrible doing that because your body's not used to that. Whereas someone like us, we're naturally kind of low where our blood sugar is, so those small changes or drops and stuff don't bother us as much.
Yeah, and I showed a glucose monitor, a continuous glucose monitor of Nate, one of our boys, when he was 12, non-diabetic. He had 2 packs of low sugar oatmeal, a banana, some yogurt, and a granola bar. And his blood sugar went from 60s straight up to 250. Mm-hmm. His body works magnificently. So it dropped it quickly, but went from 250 straight down to 95. That's reactive hypoglycemia. You're not going to feel good. Yeah. These are, boys that you expect to go learn math in school when they're crashing like that, or people that are just supposed to get along in meetings with other coworkers. It's very difficult to live like that.
Yeah. Also wanted to talk a little bit today about something that's I've been wanting to talk about for a while. I just needed the appropriate time to talk about it, but it's fructose. So for those of you who don't know what fructose is, it's just a different form of glucose. It's a different form of sugar. So, but here's the deal with fructose is that when you consume fructose, it has to be converted to glucose in the liver, and the liver is the only organ in the body that can do that. Okay, so there's a school of thought that says fructose is fairly safe, and in some ways it's a better form of sugar because it comes in, like for instance, agave nectar. That's a typical, that's mostly fructose. And so that's sold as healthy, although from our point of view, it's not, it's actually worse. So some fruits and vegetables have that, but I want you guys to keep in mind, if you look on a nutrition label and you see under anywhere where it says added sugar, and if there's even 1 gram of added sugar, that's most likely high fructose. And so that comes in the form of high fructose corn syrup. And you guys are probably familiar with that, like Coca-Cola and a lot of your sodas and stuff like that have high fructose corn syrup in them. Mm-hmm. A lot of foods do too. But you've got to be careful of that. And the reason why you need to be careful about that is if you guys have heard of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, if you consume large amounts of fructose, which you probably are if you're eating a standard American diet, you have a high incidence of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. You're also at a higher risk for obesity, heart disease, cancer. It has a negative effect on your blood lipids, so your cholesterol markers and whatnot. It increases your uric acid levels, so that can actually increase your risk of gout. And of course, insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes right off the bat with that. And something that I actually learned about too that I didn't know specifically about fructose that was really interesting is it has 0 appetite suppression whatsoever. So when you consume fructose, it doesn't help you to stay full. Not such a big deal, but it also it also has been linked to possible leptin resistance. No. So for those of you who are familiar with leptin is the hormone of satiety. When you consume certain foods, specifically proteins and fats, your leptin will increase, and that will give you that feeling of satiety. The other big one is ghrelin. and that's the hormone that makes you feel hungry. So anyway, leptin resistance is something you don't want, because similar to insulin resistance, it causes issues with you. So you want to be careful about that. It's basically your satiety hormone, and basically it will sabotage your satiety and will actually make you hungrier.
Yeah.
So we got to be careful with fructose.
I agree. And then, so you think of that, and most people are getting high fructose corn syrup plus alcohol, the amount of people drinking these days.
Yeah.
Your liver doesn't stand a chance.
It doesn't. Yeah. So,
and I've been seeing a lot of fatty liver. I just diagnosed another one today when the ALT is greater than the AST, and both of his were completely normal. But the ALT, I think, goes up to 46, and he was at 39, and his other one was at 22. So I like them both under 20, but you can see this is all starting. So if your belly is protruding, like a beer belly, you have visceral fat. And if you have visceral fat, it means you have first stuffed all your organs with fat, and now it's coming out in the visceral fat. So if you have a belly, you have a problem. Mm-hmm. So we have to get that fixed.
Yeah. Right on.
The other one that just really floored me, I looked up Thomas bagels, because I used to have a whole wheat bagel. It was either Raisin Bran or a whole wheat bagel.
Yeah.
And so a whole wheat Thomas bagel is 50 grams of carbs.
Wow.
And that was my breakfast.
Here's the thing is, know what you know now. It's like when we think about, we're talking about 50 grams. If I'm going to have 50 grams of carbs, it's not going to be on a plain bagel. Like if I'm going to go, I'm going to go big. I'm going to go get some sort of ice cream. I'm going to get some sort of a cake. I'm going to get some sort of a dessert, where if I'm going to eat it, I'm going to eat something that's going to be really good and make it worth my while. Not telling you guys to go do that. That's naughty. But
we are transparent that we do that.
Yeah.
About, I just told someone today, we have 5 or 6 scheduled indulgences.
Indulgences, yeah.
But 2 or 3 will most certainly pop up sometimes, not most certainly, but sometimes. So there's room. But this every day. So Jason Fung shared a study one time, and people eat on average 14.7 times a day. And we were in a conference, and I looked at Mark and I was like, how is that even possible? But it's all these little, like a handful of pretzels, a handful of nuts, a Hershey Kiss on your coworker's desk when you walk by. Anything that starts digestion, that's what it's considered. So it's 14.7 times is the average amount of meals people have.
Yeah.
We have no capacity for that, because even the amount that you and I were exercising, there's no way we could burn off 400 grams of carbs.
Yeah,
there's just no way. Even doing hours in the gym, there's just no way.
Yep.
So.
All right. What else?
Let me see if there was anything else that really was like, oh, wow. Maybe not. It's just, I think people get hemmed up with these gummy vitamins. Like, I was shocked when I had calculated this woman's gummy vitamins before breakfast. And then a lot of people substituting sweet potato for baked potato, brown rice for white rice, and wheat pasta for white pasta, and those kinds of things that you think is, I had a patient one time that said, oh, I eat zucchini pasta. And I was like, oh, we used to do that, like spiral zucchini. She's like, no, Barilla sells it. And I was like, oh boy. So I looked it up, and it was 1 gram less of carbs than the white pasta. But it's green. It looks green, and it's zucchini, so you think you're doing good. But this is all marketing scams and schemes to keep you confused. And
the green is probably even food coloring. It's probably not even from the zucchini, for crying out loud.
No, it's not. But like they took whatever decade they decided to pretend like, oh yeah, we'll help you guys lose weight and get healthier. So instead of drinking the 12-ounce can of Cokes, they have those little baby cans. They're real thin, and they're only like that tall. So everything in moderation.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
Well, for all you out here who have been commenting and sending us suggestions on what to do videos on, and just making these sweet little comments to us, because there's a ton of you guys out there. We're so appreciative of you. Thank you so much. Please keep it up. Really keeps us motivated to keep doing these videos, and gives us fresh content, which we're always looking for. That's one of the biggest challenges with doing these videos. So if you appreciate what we're doing, keep that coming. Keep smashing the like and subscribe buttons, and as always, we love you guys.
So much.
God bless you. We'll see you next time. And don't forget, food matters.
Bye.
Bye.